You one and all, and yeah, thanks to ESCOM, we're coming right on the last Western Sports and GT season number 7, race number 10, coming from Le Mans for tonight's race. Joining me in the studio, it is the man from Yo Stasi, FC Nimot. Good day to you.
Yeah, good evening, Geza. Lovely to be back in the studio with you for another exciting round of the Sports and GT Master Series. Going to the grid. We missed the qualifying, but we are just in time to see the grid. Luc Duquesne starts on pole position with Francois Hubert alongside him. Then we've got Johan Fourie and Gerald Fourie side by side on row number 2. Atti Nachel, Robbie Tings fills up row number 3, followed by Raymond Duggan and Pieter Hubert on row number 4. Willem Botha and Sandra Bakari rounds off row number 5.
Ken Riddle, Willem Pienaar, Leonardo Macquarie, Gene Manouk, and Spammers in the top 15, Herman Lazarus and Swayze Hubert. So we at the iconic circuit, the Le Mans circuit, and FC, you know a little bit of Spanish, French, German, and Italian. What is the international version of the Le Mans circuit?
Well, the circuit actually has a couple of names. It's known as Circuit de la Sarthe, but it's also known as the Circuit des Jurés du Mans. It is a French circuit in the French town of Le Mans, also home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans out there in France. An interesting race track, 13.55 kilometers long. Current temperature there in the region is about 21 degrees, and that's what the track temperature is as well. So as they get going off the line, we're going to have racing around the legendary Le Mans circuit pretty soon, with the guys all hot and ready to go. 85% of this lap spent at full throttle, and then working your way down from around about 322 kilometers an hour down to 100 kilometers an hour for the very, very tight corner at the village of Moussain out there around the Le Mans circuit. As the guys work their way around the circuit, Luc Duquesne and Francois Hubert will be taking them off the line, with the Fouries battling it out there for that third and fourth position. Robbie Tings did pretty well out there to qualify in the 5th place ahead of Atti Nachel. Pieter Hubert out there in the 777 Benson and Hedges car. That's the car you're seeing on screen right now. He's had a good couple of results this season out here in this part of 2022.
Hope for everybody's sake that everybody makes it through that first couple of corners. Talking about which, there's going to back up there for you. You can see as they work their way around, and everybody nice and tight as they work their way through those last couple of corners. Coming up, there's the very last corner that they'll come up towards the front main.
Yeah, that's also known as the Ford chicane.
One of the favorite cars for sports and GTs.
A little bit of contact there as we go green, and we are racing, and off the line they go into turn number 1. It'll be Duquesne that leads them with Francois Hubert, then the two Fouries, then it's Atti Nachel. Nachel made it past Robbie Tings. There's a couple of guys in the pits. Swayze Hubert had to start there from the pits. Then you got Raymond Duggan and Willem Botha. Botha makes up a couple of positions there, as does Robbie Tings. Works his way past Pieter Hubert, but as they work their way through the Dunlop curve towards the S's, it is Luc Duquesne from Francois Hubert, from Gerald Fourie, and Johan Fourie in 4th.
Doing a lovely job out there, no doubt about it. And I do think that you're going to find that it's going to be very, very tight up front. Look at that, Luc Duquesne leading them out. And I think that Luc Duquesne will probably stretch them a little bit as he works his way down the front main.
Yeah, it's down that long straight at the back of the circuit that they're going to go through there now, heading towards the Forza chicane now. There they go into the Forza chicane. It's Lucchesi that leads them ahead of Francois Hubert. Then we've got Gerald Free that's right there by them. There's nothing in between those top three. Johan Free starting to drop back a little bit as Gerald Free starts adding pressure on Francois Hubert as they work their way down the Mulsanne straight to heading towards the Michelin chicane. It is Free that goes and sits along the side there of Francois Hubert. They're side by side going down the straight. Who's going to be on that inside line for the chicane? Oh, Francois Hubert just stays ahead.
Well, I tell you what, you're going to see a lot of that still going to be happening out there as these guys have got lots of respect for one. Oh, somebody went off circuit.
That's
and,
Johan
Free.
Yeah,
Johan Free that found himself going off circuit. Yeah, he just outbraked himself. Took a little bit of sand and not too much. Oh, he had to hold on to that one very tight and get it back out on circuit. But look at the gap now between himself and the front three. There's the front three. And then going back, there's Johan Free, and he's been crowded.
Big shot.
It was Pity Hubert that got, I think, Robbie Teams that was involved with that one. And Pity Hubert, yeah, the yellow car, that's Pity Hubert. And that has caused that problem for the two of them. Unfortunately, look at that, right at the back there. Atinapel going to have to recover from a long way back.
Yeah, Atinapel's going to have to work very hard to recover that. Johan Free had a bit of a breathing room now. Here's a replay of what happened there. Robbie Tings just got collected from the back there. That was Peter Hubert that went into the back there of Robbie Teams, and that put him into a spin. That also collected the likes there of Ati Nachel, who was sitting right there behind Johan Free. He got banged on the back, and that has put him in a spin as the whole field comes barreling past him.
Look, Lucchesi's still leading them out at the front end of the field. Look at that. He's really got the hammer down and pushing it hard. Let's go and have a look and see what some of those gaps are going to look like between everybody. Well, look at that, already opened up. Look at Lucchesi from Gerald Free and Francois Hubert up, dusted and disappeared. But remember, Johan Free was the one that went off. Johan Free FC came back on circuit again, and he had got the Marak packed and stacked behind him. Now he's got a bit of a gap between himself and Raymond Duggan. The man that was in there is Atinapel, who's dropped down to 15th position.
Yeah,
Space Hubert is out of it.
Yeah, Nachel will not be happy with that one, but yeah, Swais Hubert, he started from the pit lane, so he must be having some connectivity issues with the load shedding as the rest of the field out there. We've got left with 16 of them. Luke Lucchesi is taking a bit of a punishment there at the front of the field as Gerald Free managed to get past Francois Hubert and is glued to the back there of Lucchesi as they're done with lap number 1. And now they've started lap number 2, working their way around the circuit here. Johan Free sits there in that 4th position, 7.5 seconds. Is that 7.5 from the leader? Yeah, that's the gap to the leader. So we get those intervals in there pretty soon. But Free sitting there in 4th, followed by Raymond Duggan, Willem Botha, and Peter Hubert.
So there you can see the gap. Oh, Willem Botha is on the move. Look at that. Willem Botha right in behind Raymond Duggan, and he's got the drive as well. He's going to go for that outside line. Can he make it all the way around the outside? Well, I think he could be in with a chance because it looked like he had good drive coming out there, down to 3 hundredths of a second, 400ths of a second. Where do you go? Do you go closer? Do you move further away? Well, coming down into the brake markers, it's going to be the inside line with the 71 car. It's going to be the way to go. And just too hard on the gas. And let's hope there's not too much damage on the Denso car. Problem is to now turn around without being collected by anybody. These cars have got a very wide turning circle, and Willem Botha finds himself in a spot of bother. Let's just have a look at that one again. A little replay of that. Comes in late.
Just got onto the power a little bit too quickly there, and that's what caused that tail out to step out.
He got also both back wheels off the track surface itself, so I think that also cost him. Gerald Free's on the move. Gerald Paris in behind. Look, Lucchesi.
Yeah, Gerald Free looked like he was the man on the hunt quite early on in this race as he was stuck there behind Francois Hubert. Managed to get past, and now he's got his sights set there on Luc Lucchesi. Lucchesi is not having it easy out there. At this moment, he is in control. 0.2 of a second ahead there of Free is Lucchesi, but Free definitely looks like he is finding the right lines to be able to apply there. Now it's down to 1/10 of a second. He's glued to that back wing. This is the view from Francois Hubert. Is Fourie going to make a move here? It's Lucchesi moves to the outside to close off the line. And Gerald Free just could not get his nose up on the inside.
What a beautiful camera shot that is. Look at that. Second gear, up into third gear. Keep the hammer down into second. Take a deep line going in. Now back into a little bit of open ground underneath the Porsche bridge. Up into third gear. Keep the hammer down. Up to 7.5, 8,500. Up into fifth gear. And you must know as you picking up speed, so you're getting more and more downforce as well. But then it all changes as you come into the confidence.
Yeah, into the turn complex as they go. They are now working their way towards the Porsche curves. That is going through the Porsche curves and then heading towards the Ford chicane is your race leader Lucchesi, Fourie and Hubert. Then Johan Fourie is 6.7 seconds down the road from Francois Hubert. What a lovely sight it is to see these Dallaras working their way around this iconic circuit in the form of Le Mans.
Robbie Teams all over the back end there of Leonardo Vicari. Leonardo likes that red, white and green colors. And then it looks like it's going to be touch and go if he's going to have a look on Iloto. He's trying to do some intimidation.
Well, Robbie Ting's intimidation worked because he's worked his way past Leonardo Vicari. Another person that looked like he was on the move was Peter Hubert. He was like a 10th of a second away from the driver ahead of him. That's a brilliant shot of that pass there by Robbie Tings. Brilliant passing maneuver in the Tings Bolt car. But yeah, Peter Hubert looked like he was right on the case there of Sandro Vicari, but he must have made a mistake because all of a sudden it dropped down to about 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So Willem Botha, that's been off track unfortunately, and I think that's going to cost him quite a bit of positions. That's exactly what happened there. Yeah, just came in miles too hard and too loud, and it just went straight. Gets it back on circuit, coming out into the front main, just past the entrance to the pits, and yeah, going back to live. Gerald Fourie all over the back of Luc Lucchesi. Looking back from his car, it's a bit of a gap now that they've got to Francois Hubert, and Francois Hubert back to Johan Fourie. That's another 6 seconds as such, so it's going to take a bit of time for Johan Fourie to be able to close up. There is Johan Fourie, and in there behind him, a nice drive by Raymond Duggan once again. Sandro Vicari decides he moves across to the right-hand side of the circuit to pick up some form of draft as such. Peter Hubert in there behind him, and then behind Peter Hubert and pretty close. And remember, Jan Spammers started way down the grid, and Jan Spammers is already up into 8th position.
Yeah, Spammers worked his way up into that 8th position. Then he's only got 0.6 of a second between himself and Peter Hubert. Hubert starting to lose the back end there of Sandro Vicari. Then 3.8 seconds down from them, Ian Riddle finds himself in that 9th position with a fast approaching Robbie Teams in 10th.
Well, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this one plays out. 9 minutes 22 into this race, and Gerald Fourie is all over the back end of Luc Lucchesi. Jan Spammers all over the back. Oh, that's what you need. Apply the pressure.
Yeah, enough pressure could force somebody into a mistake there, and that's exactly what happened there for Jan Spammers. Was in the right position at the right time, applying the pressure. Peter Hubert folded underneath that pressure and ran it a bit wide coming through that corner. But the rest of the field starting to spread themselves out now. The only people that really can't afford to lose concentration would be Lucchesi with a hard-charging Gerald Fourie, and then Peter Hubert still holding onto the back end there of Jan Spammers, but that gap is also starting to increase.
So working our way down the field, there you see there's Luc Lucchesi with Gerald Fourie. Francois Hubert is still in the game, out of it whatsoever. A little bit further back we've got Johan Fourie, and he's now got a little bit of space between himself and Raymond Duggan. From Raymond Duggan, Sander Bakari having a pretty decent race ahead of Jan Spammers, up into 7th position already is Jan Spammers, and then Peter Hubert once again in the top 10.
Yeah, Peter Hubert once again finding himself in the top 10 there. Then Ian Riddle currently sitting there in that 9th position. He's 4.1 seconds down the road from Peter Hubert, and he's another 4 seconds there ahead of Robbie Teings. There we see Riddle working his way around the circuit in car number 9 in 9th position. And then Robbie Teings 4 seconds down the road in 10th position. There he is in the Teings Bolt car working his way around the S's. And Robbie Teings dives into the pits.
Oh, that's going to be pretty interesting to see how that one plays itself out as Robbie Teings into the pits, and the rest of the guys just come filing past. There we go, coming through. That's Leonardo Bakari, and there you see the horn in the background that makes the people aware that there's cars come into the pit lane. Robbie Teings and in fact Willem Botha into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, Willem Botha into the pits. But Gary, you actually just left a very, very interesting fight there. Herman Lazarus in 11th position, right behind Leonardo Bakari. Now he's dropped back to, they must have made a mistake somewhere, but he was right on the case there of Leonardo Bakari. Was basically glued to that back wing, and all of a sudden just had to drop back in car number 69, the cheaper cars.co.za car, working his way around the circuit here. Now starting to pick up the pace again and hunting down that car of Leonardo Bakari. Willem Pinar, another 2.9 seconds down the road, and Atti Nochel busy catching up in that 13th position.
Well, FC, you've had the opportunity to actually meet Herman Lazarus. Couldn't have a nicer guy that's sitting just outside of the top 10.
100%. We actually had a bit of a chat today, met him face to face there at the cheapercars.co.za showroom, and hard on the brakes they're going to go. Luckily no contact there. He's got to take evasive action. Almost went into a bit of a warp speed sense there, and luckily didn't make any contact there with Leonardo Bakari.
But he did miss the cones. You see the cones that is there, you've got to choose a side, left or right, and he did manage to get that correct. So nothing ventured, nothing gained. Atti Nochel, that was one of the top runners, finds himself a long way down now in 12th position. Let's have a look at the latest lap times that they have done. It looks like between 3 and 4 days. No, it's not that long. It's like 3 minutes. A 3:39 and Herman Lazarus a 3:41, and then a 3:43 ahead of that for Leonardo Bakari. So Atti Nochel down in the pack, but on his way, working his way back to 1.2 seconds is the difference between himself and Herman Lazarus. And given the last lap that he's just done, I think he's in with a very decent chance of getting onto the back end of Herman Lazarus.
Well, look, we know Atti Nochel can be quick. He was our 6th fastest qualifier. It was that contact, that bang that he got from behind that dropped him all the way back there. But heading back towards the front, this is the shot of your race leader, Luke Lucchesi, leading this race right on his case. Car number 13, that is Gerald Fourie, applying mountains and mountains of pressure. But we know Mr. Luke Lucchesi does not fold under pressure that easily.
Oh, so now that he's leading the race, he's Mr. Luke Lucchesi. He's not the cheese man.
Exactly.
That's the way that it works. Well, there we go. Have a way with words. FC Nivo, domain from Jo Stasi, live here from the second year production studio. And we, in fact, not that far away from Johan Fourie. We're about 2.5 kilometers away from where Johan Fourie sits in his man cave up in Plattekloof. And he's lying there in that 4th position. Now, remember, earlier on we said it's around about 7 seconds. Well, it's still a 7.5 seconds between Johan Fourie and Francois Hubert. But Francois Hubert is not managing to hold on to the back of Luke Lucchesi and Gerald Fourie. Now, Gerald Fourie, the son of Leighton Fourie, National Polo Cup champion and a driver of note, has really come of age recently, FC, and on a regular basis, we now see Gerald Fourie at the top end of the field.
Yeah, I remember seeing him about, 2 weeks ago for the first time. I saw him out here in the Sports and GT Master Series, and really starting to apply the pressure to some of the more established drivers out there. This has also been a very interesting season where we've seen a lot of our midfield drivers improve immensely, and this is something I said from the beginning.
The Raymond Duggans, the Atti Nochels.
Exactly. Ooh, Leonardo Bakari putting it sideways, and that opens the door for Herman Lazarus and Atti Nochel to both 4th gain of position.
Well, Herman Lazarus was obviously watching Atinalco coming closer. He scored one from the front. He's probably going to lose one from the back. But I think it's going to be either way. Still a top 10 for him. And just a little bit too much back brake there for Willem Botha. The tail end just steps out and away from him as we go back to Gerald Fourie. Can you be? Oh, Sandra Macquarie. Sandra Macquarie's gone side by side. Sandra Macquarie and Jens Spermers. And he is on the right side of the circuit as well. So, Sandra Macquarie on a flyer.
Yeah, Sandra Macquarie definitely on the move in car number 72 as they work their way around Le Mans. And that is a position gain there for Macquarie, who's now got 1.5 seconds between himself and Johan Fourie lost a position. Johan Fourie made a mistake as Raymond Duggan is in 4th.
Yep, let's see what happened. Up a little bit too hard into that left right-hander going out into the start-finish line. Look how neatly he gets that one back together. Unleash the beast on the back of that motor car, and he gets it going. So once again, Raymond Duggan finds himself right there where it really counts.
Exactly right there where it counts, and that puts Johan Fourie in trouble, and Sandra Macquarie smells blood. This is where Atti Nachel and Herman Lazarus battle it out as Nachel now works his way past Herman Lazarus up back into the top 10.
Well, having, as I said, gain one, lose one. That's exactly what happened there for him. So he's right in there with it. Gerald Fourie says, put the camera on me, buddy. I'm the closest to anybody else out there. Gerald Fourie on a stonker. Let's have a look at the fastest laps that have been done by each of these drivers. A 334.271, 9 thousandths of a second between Mr. Luke Lucchese and Gerald Fourie.
Yeah, look, there's not a lot between the two of them. They are super duper quick around the circuit here on lap number 5. Then, if you go a little bit further down, Francois Hubert and Johan Fourie. Johan Fourie actually having a faster lap time than Francois Hubert, but Johan Fourie did get bogged down in traffic, and he made that mistake that sent him bouncing all over the show.
That initial incident. So let's see the last laps that they did, 17 minutes 31 into the 45 minutes of this race, is still the fastest man, Luke Lucchese, on 34.271. A little bit slower there by Raymond Duggan, but remember that was getting past Johan Fourie, so that obviously slowed him down a little bit. Johan Fourie on a 3.43 as opposed to a 7 seconds quicker by Sandra Macquarie. So that's in fact how much Johan Fourie lost on that last lap. But now remember, Johan Fourie was just 7 seconds off the back of Francois Hubert. The man that's replaced him in 4th position is 15 seconds off the back of Francois Hubert. So Francois Hubert, Gerald Fourie, Luke Lucchese are flying, and that looks like it
is Fourie into the pits. Yep, Johan Fourie into the pits.
Into the pit lane he goes. Let's see what it looks like going in there. Very narrow entrance. Look how long that pit lane is. Just keeps on trundling all the way down. You just got to sit and wait and watch, and you'll be able to hear the cars on the left hand side coming past you, and there's nothing you can do in that rev limiter down to 9th position. The next one's going to be coming through is Atti Nachel. Atti Nachel's not that far away from him at this stage of the fight. Where is Atti Nachel? There is Atti Nachel, and then directly behind that is Herman Lazarus. That is very close back to him. Let's have a look see where we see Herman. Bang! There comes Herman Lazarus in the 69 car inside of the top 10.
Yeah, Herman Lazarus now into the top 10, but remember, a lot of them still have to pit as well. We are only 19 minutes into this 45-minute race, but look at this. Jan Sparmers is looking to have a go at Sandra Macquarie. They're basically glued
like
to each other. Yeah, it's almost looked like blurry. I almost had to clean my glasses there, but Sandra Macquarie survives that attack just for now. He's getting that squiggling coming out of the corner.
Well, let's see if he manages to now close up. Jens Spermers 0.896. 0.89. Yeah, there you can see now it starts coming into play as you start picking up the slipstream, and there's a lot of tarmac in front of you. 0.7 down to 0.6 down towards the brake markers. So a massive toe that you get, even from 0.8 of a second, 8 tenths further back. A little bit of road rash on the side of that car.
I think it might actually be the design of the car. That's definitely the design of that car of Jan Sparmers out there in that 6th position. Now starting to close up again. Now it's down to 5/10 of a second. It's getting closer. Now it's down to 4 as they work their way through the corners. Let's have a look where they are on circuit. That is through the Mulsanne corner. That is your very sharp corner where you go basically from 322 kilometers an hour down to 100 k's an hour to make it through that corner.
Good. Well, if you don't go under 100 kilometers an hour, you're not going to make it through the corner. Luke Lucchesi starting to stretch the legs of Gerald Free, but remember, we've just seen from 0.8 of a second, 8/10 back, you can pick up a toe down that long Mulsanne straight. So definitely you're not out of it if you are 6 and 7/10 of a second off. You can still close up very neatly and just shadowing Luke Lucchesi.
Yeah, well, look, Gerald Free racing a very, very clever race here, actually, with it being within that slipstream. Ooh, getting it off onto the rough a little bit there is Gerald Free. That's a small mistake there from him. But racing it where he is racing it is actually allowing him to have a little bit less resistance on the car, because that big car ahead of him is punching a hole through the air that allows him to glide through the air a little bit less, use a little bit less fuel, and all of that, which might help him in the long run by being able to do an extra lap around the circuit before diving into the pits. So all of these things come into play when you're battling it out there in the Sports and GT Master Series. Just look at them clipping that corner going through turn number 1. It's Lucchesi from Gerald Free in that 2nd position. They're starting to pull away further and further. It's now down to 4.3 seconds between Free and Francois Hubert working his way underneath the Dunlop Bridge. Then Peter Hubert, he dives into the pit lane.
Yep, that's his official stop that he's going to do. Let's have a look quickly at who has done pit stops. And, well, there you go. That's the first that's actually on their way into the pit lane. That is Peter Hubert.
Yeah, Peter Hubert into the pit lane now. And then Johan Free was actually the first of the big hitters to stop. He's out there in 13th position. Now, Robbie Teings also already had a stop. He went in early. He was like on lap 2. Left 2 or 3, he dove into the pits already, was Robbie Teings. Then Willem Botha and Eugene Minuk all have had one stop, as well as Peter Hubert that's now worked his way back out onto the circuit.
There you can see the visual gap between Herman Lazarus and Adi Nalpel. That's around about 5 seconds. Gerald Perez on the attack once again. 17 hundredths of a second. That's what it looks like. And if we look forward from Gerald Perez, that is what he sees.
Yeah, he's glued to that back wing of the Dallara LMP car. Ahead of him there of Lucchesi. It's 2.5 of a second between the two of them. This is going to be a battle, I predict, right up to the flag. I have a feeling we're going to have a drag race down to the flag to that last chicane, the Ford chicane, between these two drivers.
It's almost like Gerald Perez is quite happy to mirror and shadow at this stage of the fight, and he closes up, but he doesn't like consummate it. Maybe he feels he's better off at this stage of the fight by mimicking what he's done by Luke Lucchesi. The two of them together quick enough to get away from Francois Hubert. Raymond Duggan 17 further back, and with Johan Perez, the leading man that's done pit stop. Now, don't forget about Johan Perez. You know what he does. He goes out of sync to everybody else. You end up in the latter part of the race going into the pits, and you come out and Johan Perez in front of you.
Yeah, Johan Free has caught out numerous drivers with that kind of move. But this is going to be, like I say, I have a feeling we're going to see a straight drag race coming out of the Porsche chicanes, heading towards the Ford chicane between these two drivers and Luke Lucchesi and Gerald Free as they're sitting right there by each other. But here's a big battle going on between Jan Sparmers and Sandro Bakari. Bakari defends aggressively, cleanly but aggressively. He does not want to give up that position. And Jan Sparmers says, "Get out of my way, Bakari. I want through."
Well, it's pretty interesting to see how those pit stops are playing out at this stage. A little mistake. It just shows you when you're sitting that close. Gains and losses as they came off the line. Luke Lucchesi from pole position. Gerald Perez moving up 2, so from 4th up to 2nd. Francois Hubert, that was with Luke Lucchesi on the front row of the grid, down into 3rd position, but not out of the game.
Jan Spalm is definitely the man to look out for. He's gained 9 positions since the start of this race. He's started down in 15th position, worked himself back up into 6th, along with Herman Lazarus, another name to mention, gained 7 positions since the start of this race. One of the biggest losers out there, or two of the biggest losers, shall I say, Johan Fourie and Robbie Teings, both dropping down 8 positions from where we saw them start this race.
Another man that's dropped a long way down is Peter Hubert, although he's having a fight back now on Leonardo Bakari. But see, having said that, Leonardo Bakari loses the circuit, and let's just have another look at exactly what happened there with Leonardo Bakari. Yep, just a little bit too hard. It looks like the back brakes, if you gear down and hard on the brakes, it's very marginal for the tail end to come around on you. As, oopsie, here we go into the pits. It's Jan Spammers that's gone in. It's Ian Riddle that's gone in. There you hear the horn in the background. It's Ati Nathel that's gone into the pits as well. So the front 5 have continued through. The rest have gone into the pits. So how far back is Willem Pienaar? Willem Pienaar probably very, very close to them at this stage of the fight. We'll see if we can actually pick him up as he works his way through. That looks like it is. Yep, there he is. That's Willem Pienaar. He's the next man through.
Yeah, he works his way down the main straight past the pit lane, out there in 9th position, now starts climbing up the ranks. And this is where you're going to see people leading races that normally wouldn't be found at the front end of the circuit, but having done enough to stay out there as long as possible to be classified as a race leader at one stage in this race as they work their way around the circuit. But our top top 6 guys have yet to stop, as have Leonardo Bakari has not done a single stop yet either.
Well, if you take it that they are 26, call it 27 minutes, 27 by 2, that's, that's way past halfway.
Yeah, we're definitely past halfway in this race, and Lucchesi going a little bit wide, but Fourie taking the same line as him coming out of that corner. The two of them have pulled away from Francois Hubert. Hubert, that's the man on your screen now in the 304 Alpha Tauri car. He's not losing sight of them, but just not to have the pace to stick it out there with them in this race.
Raymond Duggan's done a brilliant job to get himself up into that 4th position. Don't make errors, don't do anything stupid, and he gets up into that 4th position. He's also got a bit of space behind him now as well, so he's not like seriously under pressure. But same camera shot, Sandro Bakari, and Sandro Bakari rounding out the top 5. The next man behind that is quite a long way back. That's 49 seconds, and that goes all the way back to Willem Pienaar. There's Willem Pienaar. And, he's got some close attention behind him, and that attention is Johan Fourie, who has already been into the pits. So when the front guys go in, you'll see Johan Fourie is going to start jumping up the order.
Yeah, that is when Johan Fourie is going to start climbing back up the ladder. Now, the question is, we didn't really check what is the standard time for a pit stop in the Le Mans pit lane. But it'll be interesting to see where Johan Fourie slots in when your top 6 eventually does decide. There we go, 20 seconds. So you'll probably find that Johan will make his way back up into about, I would say, around about 5th position if you factor in the going into the pit lane and leaving the pit lane. As your race leader, basically your top 3, all 3 dive into the pits.
Yep, there's Luc Lucchesi, there's Gerald Fourie. Where is Francois Hubert? There's Francois Hubert. And then the next man that will be coming through there will be Raymond Duggan. Now, does Raymond Duggan copy what they're doing and come into the pits? I somehow think he's probably going to come into the pit lane as well. Yep, he does. So where does that then leave Sandro Bakari? Here he comes. Sandro Bakari coming as well. And then FC, the next man up, Johan Fourie.
Johan Fourie actually made his way past Willem Pienaar out on track, so he's already worked his way up into 6th position. He's now got 2 kilometers to race to catch up to the pit lane as we already start seeing movement, and Fourie makes it out first. Luc Lucchesi was leapfrogged in the pits by Gerald Fourie.
Well, there we go. That's quite interesting stuff. There's Francois Hubert, and he's not that far behind them at this stage of the fight. Raymond Duggan has come into the pits. He's still standing with the number 71 car. Just behind him is Sandro Bakari as well. And then the next man coming through is in fact Johan Fourie. And Johan Fourie is not that far away. In fact, you'll probably find There comes Johan Ferry out into the straight now, so he will remain in that 6th position. That's the pit lane there on the left-hand side, and not that far behind him from the, I think, the 3rd or the 4th, from the back end of the grid. Jan Sparmer still in the 7th position.
Yeah, well, now this is an interesting thing because if you remember, Sandro and Jan Spalmers were battling it out there for position just before Jan Spalmers dove into the pits. Jan Spalmers came out behind Johan Ferry, and Sandro Bakari is ahead of both of them. So I'd say a very, very good in-lap for Sandro Bakari, and now it's going to be, the pressure is going to be on him to continue that with the outlap and stay ahead of Johan Ferry and not having to battle it out there with Jan Spalmers.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think very accurate on that one. There's Robbie Teams. He was involved in one of the earliest incidents in the using the track and a little bit more. Remember, we allowed 17 incident points, and only thereafter do you have a drive-through as such. So let's see how that one's going to play itself out. Let's have a look, see if we can have a look at those off tracks. Oh, looks like the boys are being very, very neat today. 31 minutes done of the 45 minutes out there. Going from the top end of the field, it's Gerald Berry who jumped the pits. I wonder, surely there wasn't a stop as well. I think somehow he told the crew chief, listen, I need a bit of help here. This guy by the name of Luke Duquesne is all over me. And that's the gap between Gerald Ferry and Luke Duquesne. And then, going a little bit further back, there is the gap back to Francois Joubert.
Yeah, Francois Joubert in that 3rd position, 7 seconds behind Luke Duquesne. Then Raymond Duggan has done a brilliant job so far. Definitely one of my guys, or my nominations for driver of the day. Kept his nose clean, kept out of trouble. He's just doing his own thing in that 4th position. He's 19 seconds off the back end there of Francois Joubert. But there at the back, that is the attacking group, as we see Sandro Bakari desperately trying to hold onto the back of Johan Ferry, who managed to get past Bakari, and that's now put Bakari into the visor there of Jan Sparmers.
Yep, and then not that far behind that is Peter Joubert. In the background you see Robbie Teams, and then Ati Nafel on a major comeback. He's doing a comeback mid-session is Ati. Here comes Ati now, 12.9 seconds further back. Willem Botha that just had an off, that is why he's a little bit further down. This is what happened to Willem Botha. That's coming into the last corner, came in very, very hot, but held it all together at that point and just got it a little bit out of sync towards the last of that complex of corners, and that is what slowed down the Denso outfit. So Ati Nafel, we're back there with him. There is Willem Botha, not that far behind him. And after that little spin, but he's just got a little bit of breathing space behind him. And there comes the next man, the man from Port Elizabeth, Ian Riddle, main circuit racer, doing what he enjoys here this evening. Herman Lazarus, a long way back now. We miss out. What happened to Herman Lazarus?
I think Herman just had a bad pit stop, because that's where he basically lost out, unless he had an off somewhere. Ooh, as we see somebody behind him had an off. Is that Willem Pinar or Leonardo Bakari? But somebody had a bit of an off there behind him. Oh, that's Eugene Manouk. There we go.
Let's see what happens with comes in very hard. Oh, yeah, he just turned in a little bit too quick. But that's the height of those curbstones creates that situation where all of a sudden, he gets out of the way just in time for Herman Lazarus. And that curbstone, the car beaches itself, the body pan on top of the curbstone, and from there on out, well, you're just going to be on there for the ride.
Yeah. So, who have we got here? We've got Jan Sparmers starting to close up on the back there of Sandra Bakari. That gap was 1.5 seconds. Now it's down to 0.4 of a second, as Sparmers is using all of the track and more to try and gain as much as he can on the back there of Bakari. Now it's down to 0.2, under 0.2, so 1.5. We're down to 0.1. They're going to go side by side down to that longer back straight, and it looks like Jan Sparmers has done enough blinding speed coming from car number 2.
What a drive, look at that. And he takes it nicely into the corner. Does he make it through? He uses the curbstone. You'll see a big difference on the track surface as you come out of that corner, and that's where we've seen a couple of people run into problems. as they come out of that corner, but still nothing much in it. And in fact, fighting back, Sandro Bakari.
Yeah, Sandro Bakari's now got the slipstream. He moves out from the back there of Sparmers, and Bakari retakes that sixth position as they're now going to go down that straight towards the chicane. And this time it's Bakari that has the inside line. Can he keep all four wheels on there? He runs it a bit wide. Oh, somebody else spins out there. Raymond Duggan from fourth in this race gets it all wrong going into the Mulsanne chicane, or the Michelin chicane, and just puts it sideways on the loose and drops down the field.
The worst is you're standing right in the middle of the circuit. Which way do you go? Realizes as the guys are coming around, the best is for him to move out of the way. It was, in fact, Johan Paris was the next one that came through there. And we just said earlier on, maybe it's a commentator's curse. Sorry, Raymond. We said getting it all right and getting himself right up into the top positions. And yeah, that's cost him pretty badly, because there was Robbie Teens that was working his way through there as well.
Yeah, but going back to this fight here, it's a non-stop battle between Sandro Bakari and Jan Sparmers as they've swapped positions once again. This time is Sandro Bakari leading them out there. Now Bakari goes wide, hits the wall, and that allows Jan Sparmers through and drops Sandro Bakari down.
Let's see what it looks like from inside the car. Turns in quite fine. Oopsie. Oh, he tried to catch the tail and he caught it, but there was just too much speed that he had carried through there. Hopefully there's not too much damage to that motor car, and that's where Jan Sparmers made the passing maneuver. Let's see from Jan Sparmers' point of view. So, oh, look there, hello, open road in front of me, and whoops, off he goes and picks up that position.
From that shot, you could actually see the point where the Michelins decided that we cannot hang on to this anymore. But yeah,
too many torture.
But now it is Peter Hubert that smells blood in the water as he gets closer and closer to the back end there of Sandro Bakari. I do believe there is a bit of damage on that car of Bakari, and Peter Hubert fancies a move to try and get past Sandro.
Oh, he's catching up pretty quickly in that section of the circuit. Goes to the first left-right, goes into the second left-right. I think they'll get pretty decent drive coming out there. It's a nice view as you see. Stands left and right hand side, fits on the right hand side. A bit of an uphill climb as you go up towards turn number 1. You've got to really hold on tight there now through the gears down to second gear. Early apex, later apex. Use the outside underneath the Dunlop bridge. Keep the hammer flat all the way through. Fourth gear all the way. Just hold on tight as the downforce climbs up more and more. Third gear still on a... oh, look at that! That was a beautiful shot. If I must say so myself, well done. I didn't expect that one to happen. So that was Willem Botha that got past Atina.
That was actually Peter Hubert that got past Sandro Bakari.
Oh wait, yeah, got that one right. Let's have a look, see. How does that one work?
Yep.
Oh, as close as it gets. And oh dear, we have another little problem that's just popped up and very unexpected. This man does not often make mistakes, thankfully.
Yeah, I just noticed the change there on the timing screen. Once again going into that chicane. That is the Forza chicane. Gets it all wrong coming out of that corner, and that opens the door for Jan Sparmers to move up a position, and that brings him, I think, into the top 4.
Probably, yes. Let's see from Jan Sparmers' point of view. The road just opened up in front of him. Johan Paris having the state of mind to not just dive back onto the circuit. And Jan Sparmers, wow! Although he's 29 seconds off the back of the front 3, he's still done a brilliant job. Willem Botha starting to fight back.
Yeah, look, Willem Botha, you can always count on Willem to put in stonkers of laps as he works his way past Ati Nagel, going into the Michelin chicane, heading down towards the Mulsanne corner now. That is Willem Botha. And I was about to say, Willem Botha, you can always trust him to put it in massive laps, but that's the problem for Willem Botha. He's always on that edge, and more often than not, he finds the other side of the edge, and it just ends up planting it in the wall for him. But when he gets it right, you're not going to catch him.
Like they're saying, the classics, if you're completely in control of the car, you're not going fast enough. Let's just have a look at those passing maneuvers, because there was more than one passing maneuver between the two of them. From Atinapo's point of view, up on the brakes, dives up on the inside, and Ati takes the access road towards the outside, and then recovers the circuit from there. So this just gives us a better idea of exactly how that one played out. Raymond Duggan on the poor Sandra Bakari. Everybody wants to pass Sandra Bakari today.
Sandra Bakari might start taking it personally out here as he's dropped all the way down to 7th position, and now he's got to deal with Raymond Duggan, who's dropped all the way from 4th down to 8th. Robbie Teens also busy with a brilliant recovery drive after having made a contact earlier on in the race. He's about 1.8 seconds there off the back of Raymond Duggan. There you see Duggan disappear around the corner. That is the target that Robbie Teens is trying to get to.
Well, he hasn't got much time. He's only got basically 4.5 minutes to go, and sitting in 9th position, he could move up 2 positions if something had to happen in front of him. And like Mario, talking about something happening into the pits.
Into the pits goes Robbie Teagues. You just had to say something's got to happen.
Something happened. It was the wrong something. Look at this run into the pits. Let's not share Robbie Teagues' pain. Let's just go back to Gerald Berry, because I don't think that it's going to be fun watching him thundering his way up that straight and just watching him tumble down the position. So it's all about that man, Gerald Berry, and he has dropped Mr. Luke Lucchese and done a brilliant job pace-wise of being able to do that. Also coming out into the same straight, they'll still be able to see the man in front of him, but there's not enough time left for Francois Joubert to go any further forward than what he is at this stage of the fight. There comes Jens Spammers. He's 30 seconds further back, and well, Johan Ferry would have liked to have been a whole lot closer. He finds himself 4 seconds off. Pretty bad, just outside of the top 5 with the 777. There's 2 yellow cars out there. That's the first of the 2 of them. Sandra Bakari, the man that everybody wants to pass, and this time it's Raymond Duggan that's in there behind him.
Yeah, Raymond Duggan is getting closer and closer to the back end there of Bakari. Bakari will be sitting in that car wishing the time to pass and get over and done with. They're about just under 3 minutes away from the end of this race. They'll probably have to start another lap around the circuit. But yeah, can Sandra Bakari stay ahead of Raymond Duggan? Raymond Duggan looks really quick. He goes for the outside. Going to try and make a move heading towards the Michelin. That's actually the inside of Bakari as Raymond Duggan makes up another position there up on the inside of Sandra Bakari. Oh! And Duggan gets it wrong.
Oh my heck.
Same place.
Well. Let's have a look and see if we can get a blown shot of that. I'll just give you the bigger picture. Hopefully there's no trees in the way as they come in there. He was very late on the brakes, and luckily the car turned off onto the inside of the circuit, and it didn't cause any further problems from there. 2 minutes to go as, I think Sandra Bakari's got the red mist that's come down, and he's just got the hammer down. Not that far behind Sandra Bakari is in fact Raymond Duggan. There we see Raymond Duggan, and then it's a little bit further back to the recovery. Remember, Atinafo went a long way down, and there comes Atinafo. He's got himself back up into the top 10. 1.5 minutes to go. Let us have a look, see the man that's done it all right, Gerald Berry. What a brilliant drive. Just getting quicker and quicker in the last couple of races.
Yeah, he's done it all right with 1.5 minutes left. He just crossed the start-finish line there. So this is now the final lap for your 2 race leaders, Gerald Ferry and Luke Lucchese. There is Francois Joubert working his way around the final corner over the start-finish line. He starts his last lap out there around Le Mans. Now that is what a 33-second gap looks like, as Jan Sparmers is now only working his way through the Porsche curves, and then he's got to get to that Ford chicane where he will arrive pretty soon. But that's the gap to the 5th place man, Johan Ferry, that's out there just 3.5 seconds behind him, with Peter Joubert another 2 seconds just off the pace.
Well, Peter Joubert's, I think, done a pretty decent job. He's got 8 X's next to his name, but not a train smash for him. A little bit further back, there comes Sandra Bakari, and then there's Raymond Duggan, and then 9 seconds further back is the next man in that queue. That's Atinafo. There comes Atinafo, and well, I think we are 20 seconds away from the timer going off. So let's enjoy a lap around the last lap around the circuit for Gerald Perry. He's done enough to shake that man off, Luc Lucchesi, and that man Luc Lucchesi has done enough to shake off the likes of Francois Joubert. There you see Francois Joubert. That is our top three, and well, I think all three of them deserve to be on the top end of the podium, first, second, and third, because they've done pretty much faultless stuff out there.
Yeah, 100%. The top three being in a complete league of their own. I mean, look at that. Francois Joubert, you don't always see Francois Joubert being 10 seconds off of somebody.
No.
But even then, at that point, they are 34 seconds ahead of everybody else out there in the forms of Jan Sparmers. Johan Fourie battling out there today. He's only sitting there in that fifth position. Then behind them we got Peter Joubert, Sandra Bakari, Raymond Duggan, Atti Nagel, Ian Riddle, Robbie Teings, Willem Botha, all the way down to Eugene Minuk being the last place man. But they just went past the Mulzan corner, and now it's that last part of the circuit. They'll be heading into the Indianapolis corner, which is a quick right, then immediately a left-hander, then heading down to Arnage before they head towards the Porsche curves as Robbie Teings makes his way past car number 9. That is, I think, Ian Riddle out there in car number 9.
Oh, close off. Thou shalt not swing left and right. This is the case of I'd say, oopsie, that's where there's no grip. He managed to get away with that, Robbie Teings, because that's the area that we've seen numerous people have problems. Gerald Fourie working his way through the last part of the lap.
Yeah, going into that last part, that is the Porsche curves as he makes his way through those S's heading towards the Ford chicane. That is the last little bit of the circuit left here of the 13.5 kilometers around Le Mans here in France for round number 10, the final round for 2022 for Sports and GT Master Series, heading into the final Ford chicane. Your race leader, car number 13, across the line. He'll go now to take the win here. Gerald Fourie takes the win in round number 10 at Le Mans.
Oh, brilliant drive. There comes Luc Lucchesi. He'll just dive out and come across the line. And he's 7 seconds further back was Luc Lucchesi. You'll be the first man to say to Gerald Fourie, well done.
Next man through is the Alpha Tauri Dallara there of Francois Joubert. He finishes in third. Now it's that 35-second wait for this man to work his way through that final part of the race. It is Jan Sparmers. He's had a brilliant drive. He started in 15th position or 16th position, worked his way up all the way into that 4th position. A well-deserved 4th for Jan Sparmers as he dives into the Ford chicane now and heading towards the start-finish line.
I almost thought you were going to say dives. You could say don't do that. For me, he's done so well. Jan Sparmers comes towards the line. There is the next man, Johan Fourie, and in a very close sync, there comes Peter Joubert. Nothing much between them whatsoever as he comes across the line. And he'll be pretty chuffed with that. The next man coming through there is Sandra Bakari, the man that everybody wants to pass, and then Raymond Duggan.
Oh, you got to feel bad for this man, having worked his way up into 4th position, not putting a foot wrong, and then getting it all wrong, dropping down to that 8th position. Atti Nagel, the next man across the line in 9th, also had a good start and then had that contact from behind, and that's dropped him all the way back down the field, but a brilliant recovery drive there for Nagel in 9th. Next up will be the next man there in 10th position, Robbie Teings, working his way through the final chicane.
I remember Robbie Teings did make a passing maneuver right towards the end, and that's brought him up into the top 10. Ian Riddle is just in there behind him, 21 seconds. Does he run out of fuel?
That is a possibility, or big damage to the car. Let's see if he peels off into the pits. No, he does not. He's working his way to the final chicane very slowly in 4th gear. This opens the door for Herman Lazarus to actually make a passing maneuver heading towards the line. There's
But
Lazarus. It's going to make a maneuver now. That's it towards the line. He might be out of fuel. Trying everything to get to the line. Herman Lazarus will finish ahead of him. No, he doesn't. Willem Pinaar got past him. Then Willem Botha. Herman Lazarus right there by him. And then Leonardo Bakari will be the last man across the line.
well, there we go, right on the last. Can you believe it? The fun just doesn't stop. There comes Leonardo Bakari. He's the last man coming across the line, and he completes his race. Well, that was the Le Mans race. 45 minutes, 20-minute practice, 10-minute quali, and then a 45-minute race. That's the way the whole thing panned out. And let's have a look at the results. Let that come up. There we go. So Gerald Fourie, driver of the day. Gerald Fourie.
Definitely Gerald Fourie.
Apart from Jan Spammers.
100% agree with that one.
But Johan Fourie, Gerald Fourie, utterly brilliant. So accustomed to saying that. He drove away from Luc Lucchesi. You don't get away from Luc Lucchesi by the by. Well, Gerald Fourie.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing more of Gerald Fourie in the coming seasons here in iRacing Sports and GT Master Series. Luc Lucchesi down in second position, didn't put a foot wrong either today. A brilliant race from him once again. So definitely today, Mr. Luc Lucchesi. Francois Hubert also not a foot wrong. It just didn't have the pace from some of the drivers ahead of him. But as you said, driver of the day, Jan Sparmers, working his way up into that fourth position, not getting collected in any of the mishaps that happened around the circuit, and did enough to finish ahead there of Johan Fourie in fifth, with Peter Hubert making a good comeback as well, back up into that sixth position. Sandro Bakari, he must be wanting to go for a walk or a jog or something now to get rid of some of the tension.
Man everybody wants to pass.
Yeah, he's up there in seventh position. Raymond Duggan, he'll be kicking himself for that mistake. That and both times he lost it was through the Michelin chicane. So I've got a feeling you'll find that Raymond Duggan will be practicing and practicing and practicing Le Mans until he can figure out Michelin chicane.
I do believe that one of the new facilities that you can add iRacing, they can take a specific part of a track and you can run just that piece again and again and again. Guess what section he's going to be working with. Let's just have a quick look. You see there, Jan Spammers. Oh, our calculation was correct. Where did Jan Spammers actually start?
15th, yeah.
Was 15th position that he started. So for the best recovery after the qualifying, definitely Jan Spammers, my driver of the day, Gerald Fourie, and yeah, that wraps up the round number 10 from Le Mans season number 7. Let's see if those are all the numbers.
Yeah, I think that wraps up the season as we head into the Christmas holidays. So from my side, FC Nebo, it was lovely being with you for season number 7. And yeah, may you guys be safe on the roads if you do go away with your families. And we'll see you at a racetrack somewhere in South Africa or on iRacing in the not too distant future.
So as we close the season off, Gerald Fourie shooting a shot across the bows of the young gun, saying, yet another master is on the way to come and fetch you boys, and join you with the likes of Francois Hubert, Lucas, Johan Fourie, Aki Marco, all of these guys that are super dense partners that have become super quick during the course of the season, and showing their intent to youngsters a good run for them. From the second year production studios down here in Velverligen in the friendly city of Cape Town, good luck for the onslaught of the weather for the weekend. Enjoy the long weekend and see you at a racetrack soon. Good night.